Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cats and Balls podcast. It is your main man, Eric. Ben is not here today, so I'll have to do, but here we go.
Yeah, welcome. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Florida's favorite hockey podcast, the Cats and Balls podcast. It's your boy RP here. No Brent Woltman there. That was producer Eric making his maiden voyage of an intro here at Podcast Junkies. How about that, everybody? A big hand for producer Eric. That's Eric with a C and a K at the end. That's okay. Brent isn't here, but we're going to talk Florida NHL hockey with our good man, Jim Behringer, joining us from NHLRumors.com, NHL Full Press, as we're brought to you by Unbridled Weddings and Events up in Wellington. As you know, name top 10 wedding planners in the USA. If you're getting married in South Florida or hosting an event, relax and let Bree handle all the details. Unbridled Weddings and Events and itixnow.com, Florida's #1 marketplace for the ticket buying public and Florida Panthers fans. That's itixnow.com. Okay, can we bring in Jersey Jim and let's get it rolling? We got 30 minutes of the hottest Florida hockey talk here. Jimmy, welcome to the program, bro. I kind of wish you were down here in the 954, the 561, but how's it up there in the Garden State?
It's good in the Garden State, cold in the Garden State. Old man Winter decided to show up again after we had a tease this spring last week. I think my mom would wish we were down in studio as well. She enjoyed the last time I was there in studio. Get to see it do our thing. Glad to be back. Thank you again for the invite, opportunity, and pleasure as always to be here talking on Florida's #1 hockey podcast.
Good to have you, Jersey Jim. Yeah, thank you, man. You guys, you and your mom both have an open invite to join us here at Podcast Junkie Studios whenever you're in town. We do have a live streaming audience, and that's the one thing that sets us apart from the others. We love to hear from you, so any comments you have on the Panthers, the Lightning, or the National Hockey League overall, fire away over the next 30 minutes. Jersey Jim, I got my questions here. You know I can handle it. I'm sure you read the morning skate today from NHL.com. They said we are officially 1 month away from the playoffs. When you saw that, like, I have my own thoughts, but you're the guest. What did you think when you saw we're 1 month away from the regular season being over?
I said that's a pretty long time. I'm going to be honest. It's a pretty long time, 1 month. Because we had the break because of the Olympics. We took time off for about 17 days. GM's meetings are going on. We had the trade deadline. It's like we got 1 month left till hockey. Feels like it should be over sooner. It should be at the beginning of April. But it feels like we've had a playoff race. I'm going to be honest, the whole season, especially Eastern Conference, because no one really wants to, go away with any of these wild card races, even in the West too. So we got 1 month to figure out actually who's going to be there, because let's be honest, nothing is really set in pen or in stone, as they like to say. Like right now, maybe 3 teams in the Central is about it, because no one really knows the order for the rest of the teams, Rod.
Well, you went there first. And by the way, every time we've got live viewer comments, I'm going to ring the bell and read them. Kirby's checking in from the Cats and Rats podcast. He says, it's Jersey Jim. Jim is so popular with our viewers on all of my show. I think it's his smile. I think it's his bright white teeth. But Jimmy, this is what I thought when I saw we're a month away. It's a month of, oh my God, everybody asking me and me hearing on all the shows and podcasts that I listen to, who's going to get in? Who do you think is going to get in? Who isn't? And I've been talking about this on my daytime show today, the television show, the Rod Peterson show. Let me just say this, because we live in the East. Who do you think claims those final 2 spots? Let's just assume the top 3 teams in the Atlantic and the Metro get in. Who do you think's finishing 7th and 8th?
I think it's going to be Columbus is going to find a way in there, and I think they're going to knock out Boston. I just saw Boston the last 2 nights. They weren't able to get that extra point overtime, especially against Montreal. It's a huge 4-point swing. The Canadians were able to get an extra point on them. Then they didn't win in New Jersey. That should have been a winnable game for them. Again, blowing leads. And I think that's the issue for the Boston Bruins right now. They're blowing leads. Columbus is on a heater ever since they made the coaching change. Bones is in town, and here we are. They're on a heater again. And they've made the right decisions at the trade deadline. They didn't trade off assets. They bring in assets. They bring in a guy like Connor Garland who's made an impact. Their goaltending is a lot better. This was a team I thought was going to be there at the beginning of the year, Rod. And to me, I think that's a team that's going to get in. And I think Detroit's going to find a way to hold on to that final wild card spot, even though the Ottawa Senators are charging.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, since we're sitting here, and trust me, Florida NHL fans, we'll get to the Panthers and the Lightning. Trust me, we will. But Columbus was just through here, and one of their staff said to me, this is a must-win game tonight, and they ended up losing in extra time to the Panthers, but they're still in it. They're a point out as we sit here today. But you mentioned Ottawa. Anybody below Ottawa, including Philly, your Devils, they're not getting in. But let me say this. If there are only 2 Canadian teams that get in, as of today it's Montreal and Edmonton, is that a bad thing for the NHL versus the 7 new teams that would include Columbus and Boston, Detroit would be new, Utah, Seattle in the West? Is that good or bad, this field as it stands right now?
To me, it's a good thing. The National Hockey League, you always want the original 6 teams in there, especially a team like not only the Montreal Canadiens, but the Toronto Maple Leafs is good to have in there because it brings rating, brings eyeballs to the television. Same within the New York area with the New York Rangers, right? You want those original 6 teams because that's what a lot of the fan base right now is growing up on. Younger fans may not understand there were only 6 teams. This is where a lot of people grew up watching hockey. That's how they grew up. And then you had the new 6, and then more expansion came in. But I think if you had more Canadian teams, definitely north of the border, it definitely helps with, Rogers and their TV partners and everybody like that. However, to me, I like some new blood. I like some fresh blood in here because sometimes the playoffs, especially with the divisional format, as we've talked about, can kind of get redundant at times, and you see the same matchups. You want to see something new in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I think they're liking this.
Well, I'll tell you what. Well said. I think you're right on all of that. I like the new blood too. But I can speak for the Battle of Florida. We would take Panthers Lightning every year if we could.
I know you would.
Yeah.
No, it's like here in New Jersey, New York with the Devils and Rangers. I think you would want that in the Stanley Cup playoffs too. And as I said on your show before, when you've asked me about the divisional playoff format, the reason they have it is because what we're seeing with the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning, how it was built, that rivalry, meeting in the playoffs for pretty much every year. This is where rivalries come. This is why the regular season games have the fights. The preseason games have the fights, the animosity. This is why the NHL is not changing that playoff format anytime soon.
Nor do I think they should. By the way, I want to stop for a second and say hello to Jody Shelley. You'll like seeing hearing this, Jimmy. They were through here last week with Columbus. I met him for the first time, and he goes, "I watch your show," and I said, "No, you don't." He goes, no, I do. You're the one that does the Lightning and the Panthers. He goes, that's the great 30-minute wrap-up of Florida NHL hockey. So Jody Shelley's watching the show. I'm trying to get my mind around this. I'm a lot older than you. We used to read the newspapers. Sorry, we would read the newspapers. Now they're watching podcasts leading up to games. So I thought that was really cool for Jody Shelley to say that. So thank you, Jody, for watching. And hi, if you're watching today. One thing... We'll get to the Panthers, but the Lightning, as we sit, DraftKings, FanDuel, ESPN, Bet, Jim, all have the Lightning to win the East. Am I adding Jersey Jim Behringer to that list?
I mean, I went out on a limb last year and said Lightning were going to win the East and play Vegas in the Stanley Cup final. It kind of bit me in the butt. But to me, the Tampa Bay Lightning are like the Florida Panthers of last year right now. They're just like, okay, let's get to the playoffs, right? Like, we don't care where we finish. We need to just get to the playoffs. I mean, they played their best game since the break against Seattle. Kucherov, another 5 points. Hagel was on fire again, Braden Point. Like, they got to get back to playing that Lightning style, going into that Stadium Series game that we saw. You got to get guys healthy. Hedman's got to get back up to snuff coming off that injury. But to me, if you look top to bottom in the Eastern Conference, in a wide open Eastern Conference, how can you not put the Tampa Bay Lightning as the favorite to come out of the East right now? Like, because every other team has issues. And do you believe in any other team right now other than Tampa Bay?
No. And by the way, Jim, I'm guessing you might just be ahead of your time, which, by the way, when I talk about those Stanley Cup odds, Lightning are 2. Colorado's 1, Lightning's 2. I actually have it written down. As of today, Carolina 3, Vegas 4. So none of the odds makers are jumping off the Golden Knights train, even though a lot of people are, especially after the loss to Buffalo last night. Dallas 5, Edmonton 6. By the way, Kirby from the Cats and Rats podcast says Jody Shelley is a cousin to a big member in our Cats and Rats community. Joshua Dorr checks and he says, "What's going on, Rod?" As I hear Scott's voice in my head saying that. I want to jump to the Panthers for a sec, Jim. There's a lot. We jump around here, as you know. We have some goalie talk to get to, too. But there's a lot of crap flying around. The tanking thing we addressed last week. as well as Sergei Bobrovsky staying. I'm going to bring that up with you. But the tanking is a joke. The Panthers are now resting guys. Outright hurt. Brad Marchand going to the LTIR. This is not tanking, man. And don't even get me started on the idiot is a strong word, but people saying fire Zito, fire Maurice, dumb. But as far as the resting guys, what would you do if they're hurt? I wouldn't play them either.
No, I'm not playing them. Are you crazy? Like, Brad Marchand got hurt in January, and there were reports then that he needed surgery and needed to be shut down for the season. And he played for the Olympics, and he played to see if the Panthers could get into a playoff spot. The only reason they shut him down is because they're out of it, right? And again, Bennett's banged up. Reinhart's banged up. Bobrovsky's probably banged up, but he's playing a lot better than he's been, right? Like, again, I don't want to use, I hate this term because basketball has this problem, load management. Panthers are doing right by guys that have played a lot of hockey over the last 3 seasons, playing deep into June. I mean, let's be honest. If, Matthew Tkachuk, if this was a different year, if the LTIR rules were the same as they were previous years, is Matthew Tkachuk not returning until now? Maybe he does come back at the time he does because of the Olympics. But again, a lot of guys are banged up. I think the best thing for the Florida Panthers, and I know everybody's like, oh, tanking, they're going to get that top 10 protected pick. They may not even use the top 10 protected pick. They may even trade it away if they find out they're in the top 10. To me, it's a team that just needs a long offseason to rest, recover, and get everybody healthy, because this team, do not sleep on this team. This team is not going away anytime soon, and they are going to make another run at the Stanley Cup next year. Again, it's hard to three-peat in the new way it is. The Islanders did 4 straight years, 5 straight finals. It's really tough to do, but this team is ready to come back with vengeance, when everybody healthy. Look at all the injuries this year. Do you blame them for shutting guys down? I don't.
No, not at all. And by the way, great job, Jimmy. You're really bringing it today, which I knew you would. We're streaming live on YouTube, and of course, after the fact, hello to those that are listening on Spotify and various other platforms. But I addressed this with Brent last week, but there may be some people watch. We'll take the live comments, by the way, in the live stream. We would love to. Well, for instance, Kirby says, Sam Reinhart wasn't himself at the Olympics. We knew that. Marchand was sitting as much as playing at the Olympics. We covered this back in January. Okay, well, thank you, Kirby. We're covering it now. There's a narrative here in South Florida that what you're just saying, it's almost like people are trying to push it. Oh, we'll be back next year, but they will be back next year. I don't need to be sold on it, but I feel like the South Florida sports fan does. It's like they're so afraid that the people are going to jump off the bandwagon, but they come back next year, they're healthy, they're winning, people will be right back on to the bandwagon. So again, tanking talk, all the rest is bunk. They've run out of gas, and they've built the credit in the market in terms of people knowing that this organization knows what they're doing. So they're fine. Now, I want to backtrack to something, the Sergei Bobrovsky staying or going thing. I think people just were talking about it because it was something to talk about. But your take on that whole drama and how it played out, and since we've done our last show, Bob addressed the media here. I was standing right beside him last Thursday night. He's like, I love it here. I love the fans. I love the organization. I love the guys. I love everything. I want to stay. I think that's the direct quote. I'm like, how can you not love the guy? Bob would be a terrible poker player, Jim. He's like, this is how I feel. Here I am. I don't want to go. I love it.
No, so do I. I mean, look, we talked about it here. We've talked about it on your show, Rob Peterson's show. You brought it up with Rimmer. You brought it up with myself. Again, the overwhelming statement from those in the know are, as we say something in the business, it pays to be local, or local-ish. In my case, local-ish. But we all knew he didn't want to leave. We knew he went to the team saying he didn't want to leave. But again, Bill Zito, he wouldn't be doing his job if he wasn't taking calls. I do not believe for a second he was putting his name out there. Do not believe he was animately trying to trade him. No. I think teams called, found out what the price is, but I think it's more posturing by the agent saying, okay, you know what, we got to get negotiations. But Bob doesn't negotiate during the season. That's his MO. It's been his MO. And let's not forget, he chose Florida for a reason in 2019. He wants, dude, look, Matthew Tkachuk even said he's the backbone of our team. We're going to do anything to keep this guy. They want him there. It's just a a matter of what the contract length is, right? 2-3 years. Is it $6 million? Is it somewhere in the range between 6 and 7.5 million? It's going to be less than what he's making now. But every player on that team wants him there, and every player knows without Sergei Bobrovsky, they don't win Stanley Cups. And I think they're going to take another run at it. And again, before on the comment, like again, yeah, we all saw what happened with the Florida Marlins. Team gets destroyed. They don't even win. They have like 2 World Series, but that's not going to happen with the Panthers. Players want to come to Florida, play. They built the winner. Zito, Paul Maurice, they're doing their thing. You got to have belief in this team. Again, maybe some teams, fans haven't seen the losing that went on with this team. This team is in a better state than it was years ago, so they don't have to worry about it, and they don't have to worry about Sergei Bobrovsky going anywhere.
Well, I'm trying to get my mind around the mindset of the South Florida fan. I've been here 5 years now, but here I'll say like the Heat. Last year they got swept in the first round. It was the most widest margin of defeat in NBA history. And I'm like, oh, they suck. They're done. And I guess they're okay. I don't know. I don't follow the Heat. I can't name you one Marlins player. But I guess there are people that feel that way about the Panthers. They don't know that Marchand's locked up long-term or Barkov. They don't know that, right? So they got to be rely on shows like us to tell them that, I guess. They're not dumb. They're not following it. Just like me with the Heat and the Marlins and some of the other teams. So I get it. And then the Dolphins, we all know, probably going to be the worst team in the NFL. Congratulations, Jim. It's not New York anymore.
No, it's not.
South Florida. Yeah, exactly. So I had this debate. I'll say it again. Hello to the Lightning's fans that show up every week. We appreciate you so much for doing so. I'm not going to fight with you. I don't like to fight. Jim doesn't fight. You don't ever see Jersey Jim in Twitter wars either. Right, Jim? That's so... No. 2015. No. That ain't us. But some guy wanted to debate Bobrovsky versus Vasilevsky. Who's the better goalie? You got 3 hours? That might be how long it would take.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, they're both different style goalies, right? To me, like Andrei Vasilevsky during that run for the Tampa Bay Lightning when he came in 2015, I mean, he was unbelievable. I mean, he started a couple of final games as a rookie for the Lightning in Chicago. They came up short, but he's been that backbone for that team. He's played really well for that team. He's finally back to the Andrei Vasilevsky that he was when they won Stanley Cups because he had the back surgery last year. Bobrovsky's a different goalie, came through the Philly organization, Columbus. He knows how to win in the playoffs too. I mean, I think they're just two different stylistic goaltenders. And to me, I can't choose one over the other. Both guys are great because let's be honest, we haven't seen who would actually start on an international stage for Russian hockey because they're not allowed to be there. So we don't know who they would choose to be the starter. So it's like, okay, 1A, 1B, who would I want? Well, you can't go wrong with either guy. I know that's a flaky answer, but to me, you can't go wrong with either guy.
Jimmy, I love it. I love the chat with you, man. It's like you and I are sitting in Flanagan's having wings talking about this. We just happen to be on Florida's most watched hockey show talking about it. But you're not old enough. The old viewers will remember this, but the old-time hockey fans. A guy by the name of Viktor Tikhonov. Does that name mean anything to you?
It does.
Okay, so if he was the coach, let's say Russia's playing in the Olympics and these are the goalies, I'm going to put a gun to your head, just like we would do to Viktor Tikhonov. He was the one that coached Tretiak back in the day, and Kharlamov and all those great Russian teams from the 70s and 80s. Viktor Tikhonov was the guy. Who would he pick? One game, gold medal, Bob or Vazzy? I'll tell you right now, it's Bob. It's Bob for me, which should surprise no one. But who are you and Viktor Tikhonov taking, Jimmy?
I don't want to get Florida Panthers fans upset with me, but I think he's going to take Andrei Vasilevsky, to be honest. I think he would. But that's not to say if Vazzy got into some trouble in the first period, that Bob would not be starting the second period.
Well, and I can't imagine that they would get into any trouble, but it's a hell of a debate. But I mean, I played the position, not anywhere close to their level. But I was watching Bob at the start of the season. I've brought this up on this show before. When they shut out Chicago in the first game, 3-0 here, I'm looking at Bob going, this guy will give his life, Jim, to stop every shot. And people would think, oh, well, of course, he's a goalie. That he should. No, in practice, in warm-up, in games, he'll put his life on the line for every single shot. And I'm like, he can't keep this up. He can't keep this up for 60. He can't. Physically, mentally. And then especially when you're looking around going, oh, we're not icing the same team as we were icing the last two. You know what I mean? Like, it's just... Yeah, it was just an off year for everybody. His numbers weren't there. There's no bigger Sergei Bobrovsky defender than me. But listen, what do I say to you, Jim? Everybody's watching everything. I saw your tweet and your article on goaltender interference. Would you mind repeating that for the wonderful viewers of the Cats and Bolts podcast, your thoughts on goalie interference in the National Hockey League and what they might want to do?
Yeah, so guys, first of all, Rod, thank you for reading and supporting, and everybody's supported it and seen it. So the big debate right now, NHL GM meetings, and Pat Verbeek, Anaheim Ducks, wanted some clarification on this because he had a goal disallowed on Saturday against the Ottawa Senators. Tim Stützle was in the crease, made contact with Ville Husso, and the shot from Thomas Chabot went in. The league and the situation room, so much the situation room, ruled with the officials on the ice that the call would stand as a good goal because it was called a goal on the ice. But there was interference plays similar to that have been called back, but they said there wasn't enough evidence to show that the goalie couldn't play his position. Well, everybody's seen the Olympics. Most people, well, I don't know how many people watch the World Juniors and or World Championships, but everybody's seen the Olympics, and we've seen what the IIHF rules are when it comes to goalie interference. It is if a player, regardless if they are pushed in and or skate into the crease by themselves, make contact with the goaltender, it is no goal. Automatic, no goal. Goal comes off. Doesn't matter how contact is made. You're in the blue paint. It's automatic, no goal. My suggestion to make this a more defiant and more definitive rule and close the loopholes and not make it so much gray area, just make it more clear like offsides, is if a player is in the crease, makes contact with the goaltender before the shot comes, when the shot's there, it is automatically no goal, because I'm telling you, we are going to get to the Stanley Cup playoffs. We've already seen it, and I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to say series, but we've seen it already where there's been goalie interference, and it's changed the momentum of a series. And look, it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen in a big situation. So my suggestion is to adopt the IIHF rule for that, and we can amend it somehow. But again, it goes back to the Danilo Tarasov goal that was allowed against the Buffalo Sabres, which I thought was goalie interference because it clearly looked like his glove was impeded from making a save. So to me, that's what I would do. And I think that's something the league should look at. But again, that's just my opinion on the matter.
Well, thank you for the opinion. Opinions make the world go around. And by the way, for all of those that have just tuned in, Jersey Jim, of course, joins us from NHL Full Press and NHLRumors.com. He is the hardest working man in National Hockey League media. Everybody knows it. Our viewers all love him. And he's a tremendous guy. And at the end of the show, we'll tell you how you can sign up for those wonderful publications. But also, I was at that Buffalo, Florida game, and that was where Tarasov accused him of smoking some wacky tobacco, the referee. But I'm like, I didn't roll back the video frame by frame by frame, but was his glove not interfered with before the shot was even taken? So,
yeah, it was.
Yeah, so it didn't impede you. Come on.
But it also was interfered with when the shot was coming to him to make the catch, to make the play. So again, it was also outside the crease too. So I'm saying more inside the crease because things happen because the player is allowed to have the white paint outside of the crease. I'm talking more so inside the blue paint because that's where a lot of this stuff is happening right now. And we had a Rangers Penguins one that was similar to the Ottawa Senators and Anaheim Ducks. So it is up for debate. And I think the fact that the percentage rate of success is going down, less challenges are happening right now because they don't know which way the situation room is going to go.
No, well, there's two things on that. There is nothing, Jim, that I loathe more in sports than debating officiating calls for a variety of reasons. But this is one that a robot could not fix. Okay, we can see on a replay white at a goal line in a puck. That's easy, right? But there's no robot that can tell you whether it was goalie interference or not. There isn't. It's similar to skate in the crease. And the other thing, there are two NHL topics this week that I want your opinion on because I respect you so much. And hopefully I remember the other. But the first is the George Peros. I mean, the 5-game suspension overall. Radko Gudas, the former Panther, on Austin Matthews. And then all the Toronto media, which you know, and the Leafs Nation is a living, breathing. Oh, my God. It's like Cowboys Nation, you know, for us Dallas Cowboys fans. They're trying to influence the NHL to get a longer suspension for Gudas. I thought 5 games were fine, is my point. I'll wrap it up by saying I thought 5 were fine. And Peros stood up and defended his own decision on that on Tuesday. He's like, oh, my God, how could he defend him? What's he going to say? We screwed up. I'm sorry. That's the Toronto media trying to influence things, which I have a problem with. But maybe you thought it wasn't long enough or too long. I don't know. I never asked you.
I like the suspension. I think 5 games was plenty, but I disagreed with it not being in person. That was my problem. And I think that's what a lot of problem is of some of the hockey world. I know some of the Toronto media for sure is they wanted it in person. And I think they would have been okay with 5 games had it been in person. And I think that's the problem, that it wasn't in person. But again, I think there should be more onus on the player not being available to go to New York, to go for an in-person hearing. And since we do things differently in this new age of technology with Zoom, with Microsoft Meets, all this stuff, those should count as in-person hearings, not phone hearings. So, and again, you have to be wary of the NHLPA in this. If it's longer than 5 games, they have the ability to appeal. So it's like having the same lawyer in a courtroom for the defendant and the prosecution. It's tough, right? They're on 2 sides of a different coin. I don't understand where people were coming off as like Peros had to be different. He's going to defend the process. He's going to defend his ruling. He's going to defend how the NHL player safety does things. So that's how Gary Bettman's going to work too. Like, he's defending how everything went down with Gudas. I get it. I personally would have loved to have an in-person hearing because I think the rap sheet should not just go away after a couple of years, right? Oh, your last suspension was 2019. Yeah, but that doesn't matter. In the real world, it doesn't matter. So to me, that was my issue with it. 5 games. And once I knew it was a phone hearing, he was getting 5 games just because of his history. Yeah. I didn't have an issue with the length of the suspension. I just wish it was in person.
Well, that's why I tune out so much to what's said. People are upset that he wasn't there in person. Give me a break. It's not 1985. You just said we're doing this video this show via Zoom, but it is funny, by the way. Can you put Jim's face up with me because I want to get his response. There is a funny story about that. Matthew Barnaby's a close friend of mine, and somewhere you'd have to look it up, but he has paid the NHL like $287,000 in fines over the course of his career, and he told stories of Colin Campbell would slow down the video frame by frame by frame and say, Matthew, what were you thinking when you skated across the ice and elbowed Jim right in the face? I wasn't thinking anything. Just find me. I blacked out. Like, why do you care whether he's not you, just overall, why do you care? He can answer the same questions. That's just dumb. And the other thing, hello there, Kelly Francis. She's checked in. She says, I'm agreeing with all Cats and Rats podcast is saying above. Yeah, that's Kirby. Everybody can go check the chat on what he's saying. The other thing is you're sitting up there in New Jersey. You cover Jack Hughes every game. You saw that he came out, and I think it's flippant. I saw the quote. I didn't see how he said, how does the Hockey Hall of Fame have the game-winning puck for the Olympic gold medal game? And you saw the Hockey Hall of Fame came out today with a statement that said it's not your puck, Jack. What kind of guy is Jack Hughes? Because he is now in the pantheon of the Jim Craigs, the Mike Ruzionis, Dave Christians, they're in that. He's an American hero. Jack Hughes. Is he?
Yeah, no, he's definitely an American hero now, right? He's matured too. He's done more media. He's doing more media. The Devils ask him to do more media after games. He's finally doing that. His responses are a lot better. He's not giving a one-word response. He had that speech coming out of the Olympics when Buffalo came to town, talking about he embracing New Jersey, embracing being Team USA, embracing being USA Hockey. Like, the place was going nuts for him. He's handling the media a lot better. He understands that he has to do the media. He understands that he's face of the National Hockey League now, facing the New Jersey Devils. Again, there's some things that, with Jack Hughes and some players on this side of the border that, they think they're entitled to certain things. And, again, you have to understand the rules. And it was funny because yesterday a friend of mine and I were talking about this with the goal puck. And He was like, it's not his to own. It was the IOC's puck. The IOC donated to the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's their puck, and if they ask for it back, they can get it back. It's on display for the hockey world to see, and I don't understand why people don't understand it. But again, I didn't really want to get into the debate about it with the online Twitter world. I did make a statement today. It's like, okay, I'll bite, but you have to realize that there's context to this, and if you do some research, you'll realize that the Hockey Hall of Fame has those artifacts. Oh, by the way, a certain guy that scored a golden goal in 2010 has his stick, puck, and gloves. Oh, and the net's there as well. A certain guy named Sidney Crosby, captain of Team Canada. Yeah, he didn't really care about it. He didn't really make a big deal about it either. So, I mean, look, Jack's handling the media a lot better in New Jersey. He's stepping up. He's playing a lot better for this team. New Jersey definitely needs to build around him a little bit better. And not make it about him, because when he goes out, they struggle. So I think they can structure the team a little bit better, but he's handled himself a lot better. And the fact that, like, you see Major League Baseball with the World Baseball Classic, Team USA wanting him, wanting jerseys, he's being on all these different shows. He's really maturing this year as a player, because I don't know, in the last couple of years, I don't know if he would have done that stuff.
Well, I think it's hilarious. I think, did he just realize he doesn't have the puck? Like, I don't, what's the, part of this is on me. I haven't been totally following the story, but I'm like, the game was a month ago. You're just realizing you don't have the puck? What am I missing, Jim?
I think he was asked about this on TNT when the Devils first came back. They were on a TNT game, and Tony Granato asked him about it, and he was like, yeah, I don't have it. I don't know where it is. Meanwhile, like, came out that the IOC immediately, like, went onto the ice and got the puck and sent it to the Hockey Hall of Fame for it to be on display. Same with, by the way, Megan Keller's puck is there too, that for the women who won the gold medal as well. So it's the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's artifacts. Like, again, you're not thinking about it in the moment, but you also should know that I believe it is in the contract when the players go to the Olympic. It is written somewhere that you can't keep certain things.
Well, it's funny because, and I'm gonna end this because we're out of time, but the Hockey Hall of Fame asked me for two artifacts. There was an outdoor game played in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. The Regina Pats were in it, and they had a special commemorative jersey for the outdoor game. And the Moose Jaw Warriors had a special commemorative jersey too done up. It had nothing to do with an outdoor game. I can't remember why. It had a moose on the front. It was really cool. And I paid for those jerseys, and the Hockey Hall of Fame came to me and said, would you mind donating those jerseys to the Hall of Fame? And I'm like, no. But I own them, not the puck. Is that wrong of me, Jim?
No, it's actually not. That's actually how the process works. And I'm going to shout out to my buddy Steven. I had the same thing. Story real quick as we end here. He has Henrik Lundqvist's game he used 2006 Olympic gold medal stick. He was up there for Lundqvist going into the Hockey Hall of Fame. I was there as well. The Hall of Fame came to him and asked if he would donate it to the Hall of Fame as well, and they would pay for the shipping back to him. He said no as well. But it's the same thing. It is yours. If you buy it, you purchase it, or it's in your property, it is yours. Similar with the puck and the IOC. So again, just little nuances that I think people are finding out. Hey, you learn something new every day, right?
Well, yes, and I don't want to name the name of the guy at the Hall of Fame, but when I said no, like, I felt bad, but he was like, I love how much you love the Regina Pats. And I'm like, well, thank you. I'm not giving this jersey up. It means so much to me. And yeah, that puck means a lot to Jack Hughes, but it's not his puck. Okay, Jim, where can people sign up for your stuff, please?
Yeah, go follow me, Full Press Media on Substack. Appreciate everybody who's been following along, signing up this past week and during the trade deadline. I really appreciate it. Also, sign up, follow along, NHLRumors.com, and then obviously Full Press Hockey on YouTube. Please subscribe along where you get some more great content as well each and every day that we put stuff out. Oh, yeah, and at Jim Berenger on Twitter. Follow along because it's always a fun time when we interact.
There's a man that loves covering the National Hockey League every day. You'll see it if you follow his stuff. You're looking at the hardest working man in NHL media, and me. Jim, of course, is who I'm talking about. Thank you, Jimmy. Great job. Say hi to your fam for me.
I will. Hi, everybody. Take care. Thank
All
you,
right.
Rod. Always a pleasure.
Jersey Jim pinch hitting. Brent Waltman will be back with us next week. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Follow our social media, please. Cats and Bolts Podcast on Twitter. Cats and Bolts Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And we'll see you next week here from Podcast Junkie Studios.